Yeah, so what's it like to buy into the brand of Jimi Hendrix? Well, you got so many guitars to choose from. You don't have to play this model. You can play something else. Yeah, but if you're struggling to deal with does the brand exist, I can tell you that if Fender exists, then the brand of Jimi Hendrix exists. Once you start buying into the brand, it sort of becomes a bit of a lifestyle choice. Changes your what you're doing, playing guitar. Yeah, when you don't have to play the upside down guitar, you can play the regular Jimi Hendrix brand guitar, or you can play straight Fenders. You can buy the reissues and reverse it. Yeah, it's all depends on your skill what you can do. But playing the Hendrix setup, these volume knobs in standard form, they don't seem to do too much. When you plug into all the pedals seem to interact with your controls so much more better. You know, your little settings actually start to be very important. You could say it becomes more like the concept of an artist palette with all the hundreds of colours of paint on a board that you get to choose from. Well, these controls here give you heaps of different sounds, which is more expressive than a standard setup. But you've got to decide whether you believe in the brand or you're still stuck being a male perfectionist, saying that nobody can sound anything like a record, a famous record. The existence of Fender selling guitars, then everyone should sound like Leo Fender, but nobody ever does. Yeah, so if you're stuck in the male perfectionist realm, then you're really destroying your own life. So you've got hundreds of guitars to choose from to play with this brand. You got the choice of many cables. You got the latest cables, and then you got the different coloured cables. Do they make a different sound? Who knows? You've got to try them out. You've got to buy them. You've got to try them out. And then there's slightly older cables, and then there's the ancient cables, and they all have a different sound. They all change the sound. Then you've got a choice of the different straps that you can use. You can have the authentic Woodstock strap, or you can have authentic other straps reproductions, or you can go with a Fender one that looks similar to the Woodstock one. Yeah, I find the Woodstock one is a bit delicate, so I'm just sort of keeping it, not using it. Just keep it as a memento. And then you've got the various wah pedals to choose from. You've got the plectrums, the various plectrums. They all make a different sound. Some of you are going to just be lunatics about that as well. Male perfectionists and all of that rubbish. And what you've got to realise is if the wah pedal is autographed, then this pedal contains a sound that only Jimi Hendrix had. It was designed with Jimi Hendrix personally choosing what he wanted the wah pedal to sound like. But we get into the trouble of our scalpers going to buy up these things and put up the price. So if we talk about them, the fucking lunatics are going to buy them all up and jack up the price. So, you know, you guys don't talk about nothing because I guess you're all worried about scalpers. This pedal is not autographed, so it has a sound of another pedal. And something like that you should be familiar with already, because this is the original Thomas design, so this is a very early sounding Jimi Hendrix pedal. You don't have to have it, you can buy it, you can buy the others, you don't have to buy it. You know, if the price skyrockets to $50,000, then don't buy it, it's not worth it. This one and this one, totally different sounds. They look close, but they are totally different sounding items, and they're sounds that you should never be familiar with because only Jimmy owned them. They don't reproduce any other wah sound. They are unique in the world. And when you plug the wahs into the system with all the pedals, the wah changes the sound of this and it influences the sound of this and this. So if you keep swapping wahs, your whole sound will be completely different. All the pedals and the sound from the guitar knobs over there, they'll all be completely different. So just by buying various Jimi Hendrix brand wahs, you'll get hundreds, if not thousands, of different sounds out of your amplifier. And then if that's not enough variety for you, then you've got the various fuzz faces. You know, each one of those fuzz faces contains a different sound. This one's high gain from the 90s. It's a fantasy sound, and you guys are struggling to deal with the concept of fantasy sounds, as if Jimi Hendrix was alive in the 1990s and that was his pedal. So you're not familiar with this sound at all. You've almost never heard it unless you've heard one of my recordings. And this is a mini Band of Gypsy, so it sounds not like the big one, but it's close to the big one, the big version. Big versions sound larger than the mini versions. So that's an aggressive fuzz face, that one. This one's a soft, mild, gentle, very 60s sounding. This one's very unique. Very aggressive. Again, they changed the sound of all the pedals. So that's a whole nother set of sounds that you can buy and hear and explore, and everything that comes out of the amplifier will be a surprise to you. And you can swap out this one for the regular one, but then you've got to plug in a regular Crybaby and not a Jimi Hendrix brand. You got to plug in something like that, and not the Jimi Hendrix brand. But then you end up with just a standard Dunlop setup. You know, you don't get any of the Jimi Hendrix-y type stuff, but you get a Dunlop type of sound. And then you guys have got to struggle with this concept of having not a JH100 amplifier from Marshall. You guys are struggling to deal with the existence of the JH brand because you're such perfectionists. I mean, you should stop being hard on yourself and allow the other products to exist. I mean, you need to get a 4-input JMP, JTM, or the actual JH100 amplifier, but you know, they're only in limited supplies, so you're kind of stuffed with that one because that one came out and it was already very expensive. But if you're going to play it every day of your life, well, then it was good value. And then people have asked about speakers, and it's like, well, what speakers are you playing? And it's like, well, who could get their hand on the JH100 amplifier? Only the extremely lucky few people in the world. But if you're accepting that this brand exists and you can plug in various guitars, you can plug in various wah pedals, you can plug in various cables, then you're going to realize that you can plug in various quad boxes. You can you don't have to have exactly the right 1967 speaker from such and such a recording. That's ludicrous behaviour. That's just making your life extremely difficult. So what you want to do is get something else. So yeah, just stop making your life difficult. This brand's not going away. You're going to have to deal with the fact that it's similar to Fender as a brand. It's similar to McDonald's. You go there, you buy your whatever it is you want, and you consume it. So this is about all you're capable of learning these days because you've made your life so difficult.